What's up everybody, this is Adam with Everyday Retro Gaming. Hopefully everything's going well for you and you're staying retro and you're finding the games that you've been looking for. Today we're going to go over one of Sony's possibly bigger failures than the PlayStation Vita, and that would be the PlayStation TV. Let's get into it. So a lot of people say the PlayStation Vita failed, and I kind of agree with them. It had some really good games, but then Sony came out with the PlayStation TV. I don't have any idea what they were thinking with this thing. Maybe they were hoping people might want to stream through it a whole lot, stream the PS4. The biggest reason I got this thing is I want to play Vita games on the TV. I don't really want to admit this, but I recently found out, and by recently, 2 days ago, because I hacked this thing. So 2 days ago, I found out that there is a PlayStation Vita card slot on the top. The PlayStation Vita little logo right here, and apparently it pops out. And I had no idea, and for so long I complained that this thing doesn't play Vita cartridges, and it does. Anyone out there that didn't know? Well, I've owned this thing since launch day, and I never knew. And I'm not embarrassed. Oh, I'm pretty embarrassed. I was gonna say I'm not embarrassed to announce that, but I'm a little embarrassed. But anyway, since I figured, I don't really use this thing much. There wasn't really much of a use for it since the beginning. I think I played Lumines a lot, but I did Platinum Muramasa Demon Blade through the PlayStation TV because it was so much easier to play. So after I beat that, I didn't touch the PlayStation TV that much, so I ended up going online and trying to look up hacks and stuff, and at the time it looked pretty difficult and I didn't really want to brick this thing. Now it's incredibly easy with guides online to hack this thing, and I did, and now this is probably one of my go-to consoles to play PSP games, PlayStation 1 games, and whitelisting all the Vita games. I want to get into this right now. I bought this thing at $100 when it first came out. It dropped price down to $60, $40 pretty quick after that, which I really regretted it. Now this thing is about $200 to $300 on Amazon. Ridiculous. Honestly, I don't think anyone should just go out and buy this thing unless you're like a hardcore collector. You can play all your games on other systems, emulate them, do whatever, but $200, $300 for this thing, that's a rip-off. Maybe $150, back to the normal price of $100. It's way too high right now. I'd sit there, wait for a deal if you want one of these, but don't jump the gun and buy one at $200, $300. Don't do it. Just wait. I am incredibly glad I hacked this thing because it makes it so much more enjoyable. Being able to record PlayStation Portable games on this thing to the Elgato is wonderful. It outputs at 1080i. Unfortunately, it doesn't do 1080p. It only does 720p, but 1080i looked pretty dang good, so I was happy with it. So about the PlayStation TV, this thing it feels pretty heavy for what it is. It's a nice, sleek design. I love the fact that it doesn't take up very much real estate on the entertainment center. Man, this thing is so tiny and it does so much. Yeah, there's a lot of Raspberry Pis out there that can do quite a bit, but being able to play your PlayStation 1, your PlayStation Portable games, and Vita games all in one spot is fantastic. And being able to use a DualShock 4 on this makes the controls so much better. I went from playing MotorStorm with my DualShock 3 on the PSP Go to this thing. You get a lot more control out of the DualShock 4 controller. So this does have Wi-Fi and a hard line in the back, which is shocking for how tiny it is. I figured they would have just left out the RJ45 jack, but I'm glad they didn't. One of the things I figured out through the Wi-Fi, you're able to ad hoc 2 PlayStation Portable games. If you get the Adrenaline PSP emulator installed on this, you'll be able to play with your friends that have a PSP, which is awesome because now you can gloat that you're on a TV playing a PSP game at full screen. This is full screen. This isn't the PSP Go or PSP 2000, 3000 small little boxed image. This is a full screen image and it looks really good. Like I said earlier, one of the downsides is that it only does 1080i. It does not do 1080p. It does 720p. I just stuck it at 1080i and it looks fine to me. If you're not hacking this thing, which at this point I don't know why you wouldn't hack this thing, there are a lot of Vita games that are blacklisted. There's a lot of games that just won't work. I think Uncharted, I whitelisted it and I got to a certain point in the log that you needed a PlayStation Vita. You have to tilt it to keep your balance. And unfortunately, using the DualShock 4, it's not able to get that 6-axis out of that. So at some point I had to quit doing that. I'm not sure if there's a way around that, but I assume other games will have that same issue. I don't think Tearaway is going to work, unfortunately, because there's some camera options on there. I like Tearaway a lot, but I don't mind just playing that in the Vita. So now that I hacked this thing, there's still quite a bit more I need to learn about it and what it can and cannot do. I definitely want to play more PlayStation Portable games on it. I think it is a fantastic emulation station, but I think at the price of $200 to $300 is just not worth it. I would save your money, buy a Raspberry Pi, a Nest Pi case. I would definitely go one of those single board, small little computers if you want an emulation station. I just think if you have one of these lying around, hack it now and just download everything you can for it and go crazy. Just go nuts. They're not supporting this thing anymore. If they were still supporting this, I wouldn't have hacked it, and I would still continue to just play it as it is. But seeing as nothing's really happened with this or the Vita, I think it's really time to look into hacking and getting into it. So hopefully you guys like this little review of the PlayStation TV. Even though this thing was a commercial failure, I'm glad I picked this up. I know I'm going to get a lot of use out of this now that I have it hacked. All right, everyone, stay retro, stay safe out there. Hopefully you'll have a good one. Hopefully you find the games you're looking for, and we'll see you in the next episode. Later.